Hey, this is Jeff with Fleet Feet and Front Runner. We're here at the All-Ohio XC Camp. Got a couple of counselors that are here with us today. We've got Zach Kreft, formerly of Buckeye Valley, and India Johnson from Hilliard-Davidson. Thanks for being here, guys.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Awesome. Hey, what do you think about camp so far?
It's going well.
Yeah, it's been a great time. Yeah, campers have been awesome, so they've been enjoying it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Zach, now you were a camper for a couple of years.
I
and
was.
Now this is your second year as a counselor?
Second year's counselor, yeah. No, I really enjoyed it as a camper. Met a lot of really cool people here, a lot of friends, and yeah, wanted to come back as a counselor and just hang out with them again and just get some more memories. So,
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. India, what do you think? So you weren't a camper, but you're here as a counselor. What do you think about the camp? Why are you here, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I have been a counselor for 3 years now, and it's awesome to come back and kind of be immersed into that high school environment again. Kind of gives me an insight into what everyone else does in Central Ohio, and kind of motivates me. So.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, what we're here to talk about is, Zach from Buckeye Valley, India from Hilliard-Davidson, both Central Ohio kids. You're at Notre Dame and you're at Michigan State. So we want to talk a little bit about what it takes to go from the high school ranks and then to continue on and keep that passion going to be able to compete at a high level, go to class, do all the things that are required of you as a college athlete. So, Zach, what do you think? What was the biggest struggle you had to deal with?
Yeah. Going into college and stuff like that in general. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, one thing I did a lot in high school was just kind of not necessarily taking the easy day. A lot of runs were more like push and stuff like that, and I wish I would have been a little more smarter with my training. So going in, I feel like I've taken that step and kind of changed it up a little bit like that. That's been my hardest thing, but I think it's been going great. Loving the training, the extra miles and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. India, what did you compete in high school, and now what are you competing in at Michigan State? And what's the biggest difference in training and life as a result?
In terms of events and stuff like that? Okay, so I predominantly did 2-mile 5K in track sometimes, and then 5K in cross obviously in high school. I now do 5K and 10K on the track, and then 6K in cross. So the biggest difference for me in terms of training from high school to college has been mileage. I did higher mileage when I was in high school, but now I do about 70 to 80 miles every week, where in high school I did about 50 on average. Other thing is just making sure that I'm always ready for what's coming next. Recovery is such a huge part in college because you get every single day in and day out, you need to be ready for what's going to come next, whether it's lifting or running and all those other extra things.
So indirectly, you both just mentioned a little bit of not taking your easy days harder than you need to, and having that recovery built in. Zach, how do you build in recovery when you've got to go to practice, you've got to go to class, you've got to get up and eat?
Oh yeah, definitely sleep's the biggest thing. I learned that Coach Carlson talked a lot about that at ND. But yeah, trying to get that 8 hours of sleep every night is the biggest thing, and just making sure rolling out, doing the little things really, stretching and stuff like that really helps me with recovery a lot. Just to make sure we're like India said, you don't know next hardest workout, the next run, how you're gonna feel. So just doing the little things right, and I think that'll be the best for recovery. Yeah.
India, how do you balance your practice, your workload with practice and competing and getting to class and getting your studying done and all that?
Yeah, so that's something that, it's taken time to figure out. You're not a pro at it to begin with. It's something that I'm thankful for that I get to do, because later on in life I'm going to be really glad that I can work out and have that time management skill. So it's more of having a routine every day. I get up and sometimes I run, sometimes I don't, and then go to class, and I'm at class all day until 3 o'clock, which is when practice is. I get home around 6 or 7, and I make dinner, I do all my schoolwork, and then I go to bed and I do the same thing over and over again.
So we're here at the All-Ohio XC Camp. Obviously it's middle of the summer. What's the biggest difference between what your training might have been, and I'll address this to you, Zach, training in high school in the summers versus what you're asked to do in the summers in college?
Yeah, so in summer in high school, like just in terms of mileage, I got up 60 miles maybe. It was more like I was probably averaging 55, and then during season cross country 50. Now I'm around 90 miles a week right now. So I mean that's a slow build up over my whole freshman year, building up like that. But yeah, just like we said though, being smart with recovery and things like that has really helped me prepare for that mileage and stuff like that. So compared to being in high school to now, just more mileage, just being smarter with training, I feel.
India, and I think you both have probably dealt with this a little bit, going from high school where you're racing pretty much every weekend.
Yeah.
College, you don't race every weekend necessarily, and you don't always, at least right out of the gate, represent the university you go to.
Right.
How do you balance that? How do you balance, kind of keep holding the reins back and dealing with that change of perspective?
Yeah, so it's hard to redshirt right off the bat.
Sure.
Just because a lot of kids, you want to contribute right away. So I think it all matters, like what kind of relationship that you build with the team that you're going into, and a lot of the time you're really, really close with your high school team, and then you get to college and that's not necessarily the case right away. And so I think big thing is like finding a niche where like you feel like you belong, because then you kind of have that motivation when the time comes around that like I still want to contribute, I still want to be there.
Yeah. Awesome. Jumping from high school to college, and I'm going to address this first. I want you both to answer this one though. What's the biggest challenge going from high school to college and doing what you're doing?
Yeah, just like for me, the biggest thing was just the big change. Like new team, like you're around new guys, new coach, pretty much like new everything, new surroundings. That's the biggest thing. And once that was like for me the biggest thing, just trying to get adapted, I guess, to the new surrounding. Like India said, like you're with your high school team, which you're really close with. You go in, you meet all these new guys, and you're like right away you're not as close with them, but over time, to become just like your old team like that. Everyone's really close. You feel like that brotherhood's there. So just like I think it took time just to get like adapted, and I think that was my biggest thing, just with everything really, not just like the running side, but the school and everything.
Yeah. I think obviously like the relationships come. Oddly, I saw a post you just put out actually about your relationship with one of your teammates. But what about you? What's the biggest challenge of that change from high school to college?
Yeah, so I think this kind of touched on the last question that I just answered, but being patient is the biggest lesson that I've learned, and it's hard to go from being really good in high school and then you get to college and you're not even contributing to your own team.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm currently working with, is like just being patient, because your time will come, but if you just continue to do the work and kind of go back to what you originally planned, everything will work out.
Cool. Last question, and again, I'm going to address this to both of you, and you may or may not have already kind of addressed this, but if there's one piece of advice you would give to a high school athlete who wants to move on and continue to compete at a high level in college, what would that be? We'll go to you first.
Yeah, one thing I really like that you said actually, you got to find that joy in running. If you're just doing it just to do it, or just trying to be good, and like that's your sole purpose, trying to be good. That's good, but like you got to have that joy in it. And I really liked how you said it, like the difference between happiness and joy. That medal, that race, that time might bring you that happiness, but if you don't have that joy just to go out and do it, then why are you doing it? That's my big thing. So yeah, I think if you just really enjoy it and you're loving what you're doing and you want to carry on, like that's great. I really think if you have that joy, like you said, I say go for it.
Fantastic. India.
I gotta agree with Zach. Like you gotta have fun with it. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then it's not gonna last long term. And again, what's the point if you're not having fun? I mean, the accolades are great and all, but it's all about what you're getting out of it.
Awesome. Well, Zach, India, thank you so much. I know you guys got to get back and take our runners through the ringer here at camp. So thanks again, and we'll see you. Have a good season, guys.